Hey, you're listening to Pure Light, where we explore how you can believe in yourself and be happy with who you are by learning to question the voice in your head and trust your worth. A lot of people get stuck because of fear, doubt, and negative self-talk. I can help you stop letting that get in your way so that you stop sabotaging yourself and actually get where you want to go. My name is Ailey. I'm a coach and a Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher. This is episode 26, and it is about the inner critic. I am so excited to talk about this because I feel like this is so central to everything that I talk about in terms of the voice in your head and self-image and all that kind of stuff. So if you've never heard of the term inner critic before, it's basically the voice inside your head that tells you that you're not enough. So it's the voice of self-doubt and self-criticism and self-judgment. It's the voice that beats you up. It's the voice that tells you things like, you suck, what's wrong with you, why'd you do that, what were you thinking? All that kind of stuff. So it's very negative, it's judgmental, it feels personal, and it's often automatic or compulsive. So it's not something that you consciously choose to think about, like you would want to solve a math problem or figure out something else. It's something that just happens inside your head. And mine used to be really bad, which is why I'm very passionate about helping other people deal with theirs. Mine, like it was like I had two voices inside me, and they were both like angry and yelling and screaming most of the time, and very negative. And it was honestly hard to focus, like on conversations, on reading, on anything, because it was just constantly like I was being bombarded by these voices. And it's kind of funny because so in 2010, when I took a leave of absence from my job as a management consultant, I went to Australia for 6 months, and that's actually when I noticed that there was a shift in the voice inside my head. So before I went, it was constantly, like not constant, well, almost constantly. It was often this like, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? Like, all this negative shit that made it really hard to just even be in the world and be functional and all that kind of stuff. And when I was in Australia, I wasn't working, and I was just kind of backpacking. And basically, I think having that space and that freedom and no pressure and all that kind of stuff really changed how that voice showed up for me, because it stopped beating me up constantly, and it started to actually be more about connection instead of that negativity that it had been like pretty much my entire life before that. And so it's, a whole bunch of stuff changed when I was there. So like the intensity of that voice changed. So rather than feeling like, I was being yelled at constantly inside my head, it was like there was space. And there was also, when a voice did show up, it wasn't like that kind of yelling. It was more like a conversation, and almost like there was an excitement in the tone as well. So the energy was very different about it. The frequency of it was different too, because it wasn't constant. It would just kind of be there sometimes and not all the time. And the message was very different too, because it went from being like all about how much I sucked to the thing that it actually shifted to was like, I'm a radiant bundle of energy. Like that's what my mind started saying to me, which was really unexpected and like a beautiful shift compared to what it had been before. And the interesting about that too is that the pronoun changed. So because before it was always like you. And as of that trip, it somehow shifted to I. And that's when I realized that like I'm not the voice inside my head, that it isn't it isn't part of my identity. It isn't something that I need to believe. It's something that just kind of is there, and it's there for me to deal with and overcome, as opposed to something that defines who I am and defines what's possible for me. So you are not the voice inside your head. If you are hearing things that your mind is telling you about how much you suck or how you're not good enough or you need to be something that you're not, it's not a sign that any of those things are true. It's just a sign that your inner critic is really strong. And the inner critic is something that you can learn to overcome. A number of things have helped me with it. One is journaling. Meditation is also great. Yoga is great. Anything that kind of gives you a deeper sense of awareness will help you shift your perspective and shift your attachment to the voice too, so that you don't like react to it and get triggered by it, and you can just kind of watch it and let it be there without it changing how you act and behave in the world. In my experience, one of the best ways to deal with your inner critic is to do the things that it says that you can't do. So do the things that it says, like, who are you to do that? You can't do that. To actually do those things, because then that'll help silence it, because it'll see that you are not being limited by it. If you need help finding the strength and willingness to do that thing that scares you, that you think you can't do, check out my free training, Become Your Bravest Self. Find the link to it in the show notes at purelightpodcast.com under episode 26. And if your inner critic is an issue for you, I would love to help you with that. Book a free discovery call to see how we can work together. You can find that link also in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, may you be guided by your light.